Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham, has criticised Labour leader Keir Starmer's policy of stopping Labour frontbenchers from joining picket lines, saying he would not see this as controversial. Maybe this is a segue into his pitch to be the next Labour leader, who knows? During a crisis over the cost of living, Burnham has said he would join Mick Lint, the leader of the National Union of Rail, Maritime and Transport Workers, on the picket line. But should politicians really be joining the picket line? Well, let's speak to author and campaigner Nick Buckley. Thank you so much for joining us on the programme. And what do you think? I mean, some people would argue essentially that this is a huge cost of living crisis and workers are effectively organising to demand better pay and conditions. Labour Party, the so-called Party of Labour, should they not be supporting it? What do you think?
Our biggest problem with our politicians is we don't trust them. And the reason why we don't trust them is because they're told what to say, what to do and how to act. So if politicians want to stand on a picket line and support a union, support workers, I'm actually fine with that, because then we know what that individual politician believes and agrees with and will do once in power. So the fact we've got the Labour Party telling their politicians not to do what they want to do is a big red flag for me.
But some people would say that, Mick Lynch is exponentially rising as a figure championing the people. And actually, if politicians want to be on the picket line with him or stand on platforms with him, maybe they're trying to take a bit of his shine and benefit from his popularity rather than doing what actually matters, which is coming up with the policies and ideas that are actually going to deal with the root cause of the problems so that people don't feel that they have to picket. So what do you say to those who say that they're perhaps jumping on the bandwagon if they do that rather than actually doing their job?
You've hit the nail on the head. This is politics, and politics is four-dimensional chess. Why has Andy Burnham come out saying he'd let MPs stand on picket lines? It's because his plan for the last 5-6 years has always been he wants to be Labour leader and he wants to be Prime Minister. Now, he knows the Labour Party have gone far left, and he's not far left. He's seen as a bit of a Blairite. So this is him signalling to all those Labour MPs who are far left, and he's saying to them, look at me, I'll let you stand on picket lines. I'm one of the comrades, I'm on your side. This is all people manoeuvring for politics to see what they can get out of it and for them to achieve their own goals. So you're perfectly right. This has got nothing about politicians saying we're fighting for the people. Because if Labour politicians wanted to fight for the people, there's a million things they could be doing apart from just doing this. They don't represent the people anymore. We all know that.
Well, there's another argument, because you said in the beginning that you don't necessarily, or people don't trust politicians because they don't really say what they think and they are effectively told what to say. But what do you say to those who say, actually, if you want to take on the role of a leader of one of the biggest economies in the world, the UK, and so on, that you do need a level of party discipline, and actually various different front benchers disobeying the leader or joining various different campaign groups and activist groups and so on may well get you a situation like Corbyn had, where they had so many different factions trying to do their own thing and launch a kind of a disagreement with the leader. So in some sense, is it not okay that actually the politicians that are on the front bench essentially are doing what they're told, because then there will be a level of discipline and authority that keeps the party together?
It's a tight line to walk. Every government, every opposition party has to fight this problem, which is we want to be electable, we don't want to make any mistakes, and we want to keep a tight rein on our individuals. But on the other side, we want to make sure those reins aren't so tight that we have rebellions, and that they're not that tight that the general public can see they're just puppets. And where that line is changes day by day, month by month, year by year. So this is why we need the best people in politics, the best people to be leaders of the opposition, to be in government, because have I got the answer where that line is? No, I haven't.
You mentioned that the Labour Party doesn't necessarily connect to workers in the same way that perhaps it had presented itself historically. I mean, do you think that there is anything that the Labour Party can do right now to really deal with it or get in touch with its voter base, essentially? I mean, the cost of living crisis is the biggest or one of the biggest issues facing workers today. And surely it's important for democracy to have an opposition who understands the interests and needs of ordinary people and has policies to respond to them. So do you think there is something the Labour Party could do, or do you think that it's a lost cause?
Oh, are they a lost cause? I'd like to think they're not. I think they're just going through a phase like they did in the 70s and early 80s. They will get a leader who will drag them back to common sense. But what should be Labour doing? Labour need to go back to basics. Labour need to realise that they're the party of the workers, for the party for the people who don't have a voice. At the moment, they're the party of any trendy cause that's coming along. So simple things they could do straight away is start, we're looking at the cost of living crisis. They should be the party saying, let's get rid of the green agenda. Let's get rid of green taxes on our energy bills, because that's affecting that mum who lives down the road who's got 4 kids and the husband's out of work. Let's do that. They should be fighting for people working in the gig economy. So they should be saying, Labour Party spent 100 years fighting for workers to get rights, holiday pay, health and safety at work. But all of a sudden, in the last 10 years, we've got people now who are working outside that sphere. And the Labour Party are quite happy letting them do it. But what the Labour Party should be saying is, we're going to protect the Uber drivers, we're going to protect the delivery drivers and the people who deliver for Amazon. And they're not doing that. What they're always talking about are all the things we would call the woke causes. And the general public and the working class people in our northern towns, A, don't understand the topic, and B, if they did, wouldn't care. They care about what's in their pocket and what's in the shops. They need to go back to basics. They need to represent the people who created them in the first place, and that's the first task they need to do.
Well, back to basics. That is a famous slogan. I think that we might have to be waiting quite a long time until we see the Labour Party give up on the green agenda. But thank you very much for sharing your thoughts, Nick Buckley, author and campaigner.